Now let's take a look at the combination of Mars-Uranus. The textbook definition for Mars-Uranus and hard aspects combination is accidents and emergencies. So Mars-Uranus is our A and E combination. It is the combination of moving through life too quickly, and as a result of that, possibly making certain mistakes and having certain accidents that are connected to the speed with which you're moving. Mars has to do with action in general, and Uranus tends to be a force that destabilizes and that creates volatility. So Mars and Uranus in hard aspect combination can oftentimes be something that causes us to either rush through life, or rush to conclusions, or just rush through things in general. If there were a combination that had to do with rushing, it would definitely be Mars-Uranus. Now, the challenges with this combination is that it definitely causes us to make mistakes that could have been avoided had we taken a slower approach. But when we have Mars-Uranus, there's this angst that we have within ourselves towards acting, towards doing, towards being, towards becoming. And as a result of that, sometimes taking a slower approach may simply feel a little bit more boring than what we're willing to accommodate. Mars-Uranus is a combination that easily causes us to get bored, and as a result of that, it constantly needs to be in a state of stimulation. But a part of that stimulation might cause us not to necessarily hold true to our commitment, and it might also cause us to drop the ball on certain things far more frequently than we would like to admit, because we have lost a sense of being stimulated by that thing that we were pursuing. Now, from a positive perspective, Mars-Uranus is great because Mars-Uranus has to do with us working within the scientific field. Mars has to do with our work, and Uranus has to do with science and revolutionary thought. So sometimes we can have Mars-Uranus when we find ourselves working in a field that has to do with quickly moving, forward thinking. Uranus, as we know, is also in modern astrology the planet that we associate with astrology. Therefore, Mars and Uranus together could have to do with us being able to perform the internal gymnastics necessary in order for us to read the chart well. So Mars-Uranus can also have to do with us working as astrologers within this lifetime. Sometimes when we have Mars-Uranus, we tend to even speak before we think about the words that we're going to say, because Mars and Uranus has to do with us being very committed to getting things done. And if we're in a discussion with somebody, that can look like us being very committed to saying the piece that we have to say. And sometimes it can cause us to speak rashly, sometimes it can cause us to speak out of turn, and it can also cause us to speak in a way that doesn't necessarily carry the same level of social graces that we probably would speak with if we had Mercury-Venus, for example. So when we have Mars-Uranus present within our charts, we need to know that there's a part of us that might be so committed to acting and getting things done, and we can forget that there's a way to speak to other human beings as well. Mars-Uranus people are oftentimes also very solution-oriented people. But a part of them being solution-oriented may not necessarily come from the fact that they're trying to be constructive. It might simply come from the fact that they are tired or bored with the way in which things are currently manifesting. So we love Mars-Uranus people from the perspective of them always having a new insight or a new thing to say or a new idea or some new way of packaging some new revolutionary information. But at the same time, that solution can also be rooted in a place that is volatile or unstable within us. Another thing that is very important to know about Mars-Uranus is that sometimes this combination can have to do with us acting alone. So it can very much be a lone wolf combination. And a part of that lone wolf syndrome could be that you probably find that other people around you are moving too slow and that you could get things done better by yourself. Or you can find that other people can't necessarily keep up with the level of intensity that you're bringing into this world. So it's wonderful if what you're doing is something that you know only you can do, But it can also be something that's very isolating, and it can also separate you from people who probably could be assisting you in a deeper, more robust way in terms of the fulfillment of your ambitions and dreams. Another thing with Mars Uranus is that because speed is so much a part of their nature, it can sometimes feel to others around them as if they simply exist in transactional relationships. And that transactionality can also diminish some of the humanity that exists within our intimate connections, because when we're interacting with people always from a transactional space, it can sometimes feel as if we aren't actually acknowledging what is special or unique or individualistic about them. And it can sometimes make it seem as if we're trying to use others in order to get ahead in life. And this tendency may not necessarily be something that's conscious at all, but it might be something that other people perceive based on how we are rushing to the final outcome or rushing to the final conclusion of whatever it is we're trying to work on. So one of the things that we can cultivate as Mars-Uranus people is a greater sense of continuity within our relationships. It's okay simply to call somebody, not because you need something or not because you're working on your next big project and you quickly need to call the person who you know has the solution to help you get past the challenge that you're currently facing. Sometimes it's okay simply to check in on others and to have conversations with them about the quality of their own lives.